Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Magic Mics, proudly sponsored by our Patreon supporters and CoolStuffInc.com, where you can find cool stuff in stock every day, and our co-sponsor, CardHoarder.com, offering the best inventory prices and delivery of cards for Magic Online. I am Evan Irwin, and we get started each week by saying hello to my two co-hosts, Aaron Campbell.
Happy anniversary. I'm not centered.
No.
Monster.
Ruben Bressler.
I am centered, maybe? Hi.
Seems
New graphics means new things.
Brand
new world.
Graphics, 5 years into the day. May 27th, 2015, the first Magic Mics aired. We were talking about Modern Masters 2015 packaging. Remember the cardboard packs? That was a giant mess amongst other fun sundries. I
was on a back porch of a house that we rented, and Monty DeVuti, notable, he's oftentimes been the 1 or number 2 ranked player on Arena. He's Zapgaze, if you ever see him in like ratings and stuff. Was barbecuing and making a huge racket, and I was like, Monty, stop it! Yeah.
That's where the potatoes began early. You know what I mean?
It's true.
It took a while
potatoes did begin
to get
early.
potatoes.
I just remember when I think of the first episode, I remember the fact that we recorded on a Wednesday night. I flew to GP Vegas the next morning on Thursday. And by the time I landed, people had already watched it, consumed it, knew that they wanted more, knew who I was. And it was just insane. Like just the degree to which I had been recognized and the amount of feedback that I received in such a short amount of time. That really made me think that we were onto something big.
Yeah, it turns out covering the zeitgeist, as it were, was pretty cool.
If you still have your
cards?
I was just going to say, if you still have your bingo cards,
gotta stamp it right there. All right, we also get started with our
ubiquitous. There you go, another stamp for you.
We also get started with our trumpet blast. You can get one if you support us at our highest level on Patreon, and we kick it off with our first pick and giveaway, super pumped giveaway, 5th anniversary, cool stuff, pulling out all the stops.
Yeah.
5 $50 gift certificates tonight, and on top of that, we're going to give you a sweet Magic Mics playmat and maybe more. We'll see what we got in the vault.
Yeah.
But this is your
Ruben,
chance
did you
to
not
get some
tweet
cool...
that the show's out?
I did tweet that the show's out. I just didn't tag you.
Hit tag.
I didn't at you.
We are live, it says. 5 mics right there. I see it. I want to retweet it as we
I honestly
speak.
don't see anything. Did I mute you by accident?
Did you mute the Magic Mics channel by accident?
It's a possibility.
Well, anyway, 5 giveaways. Each giveaway is $50 and a playmat.
That's right.
And whatever else Evan happens to be keeping in his trunk.
There you go. Whatever's rustling around in there, it'll be fine.
Yeah.
So that our first big course, our 5th anniversary. Thank you all so much for all the support over the years. We would not be doing this show if there wasn't an audience out there listening and helping us out on Patreon, subscribing to the channel here on Twitch. You guys are fantastic. We love you. You're great. Here's to 5 more years of us putting up with each other.
Basically, yeah.
2 times a week we gotta hang out.
I mean, we were talking about it during the pre-show of like, man, 5 years is a long time to be a person, let alone have a podcast.
I know.
And but as long as the people, you all out there, still want us to keep arguing with each other and talking about the news in Magic the Gathering, keep showing up every week, I guess we'll keep making the show.
Yeah.
Right? Like, what are we going to do? Not do it?
Well, for the first time in 5 years, we have an all-new layout for the show. Now, right now you're seeing new fonts, you're seeing new colors. Okay, fine. How about I show you something different?
Right. We got a graphics update once before, but now this is totally different.
And Ruben and I didn't know about this prior to logging on tonight.
Yeah, I got to surprise them with this one right here. As you'll notice, hi everybody, we have an all-new layout here where you can both see us and see content that we're going to be talking about.
Real quick, Evan, I need to point out, and I think Aaron knows what I'm going to point out, which is I'm on the bottom. Now, I didn't, first of all,
I'm happy being in the middle. I mean, let's be honest.
Right. But, I see, listen, I get that you're trying to play your psychological mind games with me, but...
Goodness gracious. Well, I'm still going to have to figure out how to scroll in that window.
Aaron is centered in this graphic because you're in the center.
I just be careful not to roll my eyes because a lot of times when Evan does the transitions, that's my opportunity to be like, ugh, and now I can't do that.
Right.
All right.
Okay, so can I use
We should start the show.
We should.
We
it
really
seems like
should
a good idea.
show.
Okay, I can scroll here a little bit. All right, so
There's a hype train going on. What is that?
that's something about subs or something. We're getting
Subs
lots of
and
subs?
clicks and
level 5
bits
complete.
and
Yeah.
things.
Whoa, that's a lot. Okay, cool. So this thing's being weird. Like our first new layout would, as you would expect. All right, cool. So, Gather the Townsfolk, officially starting with our brand new layout. If you're watching us, if you're just listening to the podcast, it's the same segment. So, Double Masters was announced with a set filled to the brim with powerful and popular reprints. Fetch lands not among the popular or the powerful, as it turns out. But it is going to be a brand new master set releasing on August 7th, 2020. 332 cards, 24 packs per booster box per usual. But this time, 15 card booster packs with 2 rares and 2 foils per pack. Wow. And yes, those foils can be up to 2 additional rares. You could get a 4 rare pack, which is incredible. 2 non-foil borderless showcase box topper cards included in each box. So the double, you get your double box topper. That's pretty cool. They announced it twice, which was kind of hilarious. They made, 2 articles about, not announced it one more time. They're showing doubling season right here. So there's some money. Plenty of money in doubling season.
Cute art.
Yes, I love the art. The artwork's great.
Yeah, I love that new art.
Yeah, and so this is a new master set. They had not done one last year, which I think was a gigantic mistake. And somebody in the financial department was like, "Guys, did you forget we like money? You like dollars,
we got
right?
bills to pay.
we got to do stuff here. Like we got to pay the bills." So, Double Masters. How do you feel about another Masters product coming back?
I'm always happy to see more reprints. I was pleasantly surprised with how many reprints were even in the mystery booster set with cards like Dolmen Gate, Recruiter the Guard, things like that. And so I'm happy to see more singles that desperately need reprints being put out on the market.
I think that reprinting cards that need reprinting is a huge deal. I'm kind of okay with the more expensive booster box and more expensive packs being not having fetch lands. Like, I'm okay with the fetch lands being in something else. Still not going to be in standard. Aaron, don't go
You don't know that. There are still 6 months left in this year.
I'm blocking you. Wow. So but there's going to be some huge stuff, doubling season never goes down in price.
No.
I think Mana Crypt was on the list.
Mana Crypt showed back up.
For Blightsteel Colossus.
Yeah, the Blightsteel is dope.
The Blightsteel is
all
dancing.
The new art. I love the new art style. Like, they've really jumped in on this comic book kind of style.
Yes.
Which I really love. And, they're not taking themselves too seriously, which I also appreciate. I like that they're going for a little bit of a different flavor with their reprint ability here. Double Masters as a name, kind of stupid, but it explains what the set does. It explains what the expansion does. You get twice the rares, you get twice the whatever. So I'm okay with it. Tentatively, I'm optimistic.
I was really hoping they would lean into the marketing like Doubleman Gum. Do you guys remember Doubleman Gum? That was a while ago, where they had the commercials with nothing but twins. Where it's like, double your pleasure, double your fun. And like, it would be twins everywhere. Like, 2 Blakes would have been great, 2 MaRos. Like, really lean into
Mike
it.
Sigrist and Brad Nelson doing the commercial.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Like, in the old style, 16 millimeter film.
Oh, that would have been brilliant.
So they're doing alternate artwork, full promo versions. I think these are the box topper only. I'm not really sure if they're out in packs as well, but they're incredible. Mana Crypt, Kalia of the Vast, Atraxa,
gorgeous. The Atraxa. Oh my god,
Atraxa's like a $50 card, y'all. Like,
this is Commander Masters.
Yes.
Remember how last year we thought that there was Commander Masters? No. Atraxa, Blightsteel Colossus, doubling season, Kali of the Vast, like this one is the thing.
We're having this weird talk in sort of the community right now because there are rumblings now. There's no collector booster for the Masters product, but what there is something that they are calling a VIP pack. Now, I hear a lot of rumbles, okay? I got a lot of fingers, a lot of pies, there's a lot of birdies flying around me all the time, okay? Listen,
You got a lot of metaphors there, buddy.
The cost on this freaking thing is like, I'm a little shocked. I want to make sure that before I say anything about it, that it's actually true. So we'll see how much the booster ends up being. But I think that VIP booster could be like obscenely expensive. Wizards is taking a very important cue from the sports card industry. The sports card industry has already figured all this out, y'all. They're going to squeeze, and they're going to get everything out of you, and they're going to have these very special, unique sets that every single pack comes with a piece of somebody's jersey. Every single pack comes with an autograph from somebody. And you're going to pay $50, $100, whatever for these packs? Absolutely, because you want to live the dream and get the sweet autograph from the pro player that you like the most or whatever. Like, that's the thing that they have figured out already. So if Wizards can put enough unique, interesting, showcase, foily, shiny, new art, different frame stuff into a pack and sell it for a whole bunch of money, well, that's sort of where we're trending.
Well, I also think they're doing it because the market has shown that it can bear it, you know?
Right.
I think that if Wizards sees that people aren't buying them, or if they end up with a lot of these left over, you know, maybe then they might turn the hose down a little bit. But, you know, we see people on social media, we see people on Reddit saying, you know, they're not going to do it and they can't afford it, but yet they're selling. And so as long as they're selling, Wizards is going to keep printing them.
Right. And we were having this weird sort of conversation where, and God bless him, Mark Rosewater is just out there in the middle of everybody.
Taken a lot of flack.
Man,
so much hate. Lord God. I mean, you know,
he's just 1v1ing everybody.
Yeah.
Like, he is doing every single person's job, it seems.
Right. And he's trying to explain to a public that doesn't want to understand that Magic is a subsidiary of Hasbro and they have to make money.
It's a collectible card game.
It is collectible. And I know that this $400 card should be $200, but that's kind of nonsense. And you have to recognize...
Oh my God. There's somebody watching from Bangkok, Thailand. Thank you so
goodness.
much, Lair.
Wow.
That is wild.
Well, we appreciate that. It's fine. It's just we're having this sort of conversation of like, look, guys, they're a business, all right? They recognize that they sell collectible, expensive things. You're going to have to get over that part of it. And it also feels like, based on the rumblings of this VIP booster possibly being 3 digits, that he's also kind of sort of trying to soften the blow. He's like, when we debut this really, really expensive thing, we don't want you to go like completely off the rails. When the booster, the only pre-order numbers that we've seen so far is a $300 booster box being Double Masters and a $16 booster pack of Double Masters, which again is very, very high.
It's just strange to me that people feel like... Some people feel like a hobby should be free, where it's like, you know, you look at Dungeons and Dragons and you're paying for your books and you're paying for your dice and you might pay for the subscription to the website that lets you print up the fancy character sheets. And, you know, if you're doing miniatures, you're painting for you're buying your paint and you're buying your brushes and you're buying your figurines. And so, you know, most hobbies have costs inherent to them. And, you know, MaRo made a really good point on one of his blog talks where he was like, you know, okay, so if you can't afford Legacy, you have Pauper, you have Limited, you have Commander, you have options. You know, it is not as if you are completely frozen out of the game of Magic because you cannot afford a Blightsteel Colossus or something like that. And so, you know, I went through that as well. You know, it's tricky because I'm very fortunate to be able to play any format I want to. But, you know, there was a time I didn't have access to vintage cards, and I kind of stayed in my lane, and I played Standard, and I played Modern. And so you are still able to play Magic. It just might not be the form of Magic that, you know, you would like to. And it's an interesting discussion, and I almost feel like unqualified to talk about it because I am so fortunate. But, you know, I couldn't think of a hobby that didn't come with any cost. Like football, you're paying for your helmets and your pads and your... I just don't know what else is there. Like,
I mean, all hobbies, if you want them to, cost money. And all hobbies, not all hobbies, many hobbies, if you want them to, don't cost any money. If you're a painter, you're going to have to buy your supplies. Anything is going to cost money. It just so happens that the floor for Magic is higher than the floor for baseball.
It turns out that when you can print money, people are going to be super duper picky about it, about how you do it, essentially. And the last thing I'll note in here is that how in the world do we have so many master sets and only one of them had fetch lands and not even all 10 of them?
Yeah,
how
that's
did that
a little
happen?
weird.
How
like
did
we
that
just
happen?
talked about how Wizards is printing money. for 5 minutes there. And then they've only reprinted fetch lands one time. Yeah, that is kind of crazy.
It hurts me. All right, so let's keep moving on here to another topic because, hey, Wizards wants your money. They're going to pull that money crank, and you're going to give them those dollars, by God, because we have the summer Superdrop. Goodness gracious.
This kind of came out of nowhere.
It came out of nowhere, and it felt like it went on forever. So, like, I'm watching it in real time.
Exhausted.
So the first announcement comes out, the second one comes out. We're still, like, huffing and puffing from, like, a very heavy run. We're like, okay, I need it.
Oh no!
And then,
this
here's
train.
The third one, and just
all the cosplayers, and then all the artwork was coming out, and you're like, wait a minute, wait, what? There's a secret what? Where? Yeah. What are we doing?
Birds?
And suddenly, between June 1st and the 15th, tattoos. I think the tattoo pack is by far the best one. It's not even close. If you buy any of these, buy the tattoo pack, put it in a closet. Let's talk in a decade.
Sure.
Because we're still going to be making this show. Don't worry. And we'll go in there. We'll blow the dust off, and we'll be like, remember 2020? We told you to buy this.
Fun fact: the tattoo artist who did that one, he does work in Wisconsin. So represent cheeseheads.
Here's my only hope for the tattoo one. First of all, I love that Eternal Witness. The Blood Artist is I fell in love with the Blood Artist at first, and now I'm like less on it.
The Blood Artist is very emo. It's like the kid you see in the
movies. It's a bit tattoo-y for me. Here's what I want.
If there's ever tattoo-y.
I understand. If there's ever a Magic Fest in where are they headquartered? Minneapolis or Milwaukee? The tattoo artist.
I don't know where he's. I know he works in Wisconsin. I don't know if he lives here.
If there's ever another Magic Fest in Wisconsin, you need to set up a mobile tattoo parlor.
Oh, geez.
In the convention center, and have that guy there. You got to do it. That's all I care about.
You can't do that. People can barely settle on 75 cards. You want them to settle on a lifelong decision like a tattoo?
Listen, some people are better at committing.
This is painted in the sort of traditional American tattoo, as they sort of call it. Yeah. Very vibrant, bright colors, very strong lines, as it were, a lot of smooth shading. And I just think it's absolutely beautiful and gorgeous. And not to say that the other ones are garbage or anything, but this one was like, wow. This one blew me away.
The only thing that kind of bothered me about this is, can we get some paper sleeves, please? Because the Pithing Needle sleeves are dope. Like, I would 100% buy packs of those. And they do this a lot with these products, is they give you arena-only sleeves. A paper bitch has got money, too. Like, give a bitch some sleeves. Like, come on.
I picked up the Pack Rat sleeves on Arena today.
Yeah,
those were nice.
I would,
Well, they moved on. Go ahead.
Yeah, sorry. Well, I'll wait till we get to my favorite of the drops.
Fair enough. We move on here to Can You Feel with a Heart of Steel? Arcbound Ravager, Darksteel Colossus, and the winner Walking Ballista show up out of this one. This one's going to be $40 versus the tattoo one. Sorry, I have to reload this because the software's weird. Whereas the tattoo one is only $30 if I recall correctly.
Yeah,
right here,
and that's because Ballista's in it, right?
And that's yes, absolutely. So this is trust me, the tattoo one is a freaking deal. Jump all over that. If you need Walking Ballistas, here's the Walking Ballista plus some sweet promos. Might as well if that's where you're going. The path not traveled is really interesting as it shows the Planeswalkers in a very unique, different, crazy light. Apparently, a Johnny Steadfast, that's the one, is sort of a riff on Thundercats.
Yes.
So Johnny's a superhero, Domri's a cowboy, Veraska's a pageant queen. I don't necessarily
Tamio is a noir detective.
Brilliant.
Which is my favorite. That one's my favorite. Is the trench coat Dick Tracy look.
Yes.
Very, very cool. That one's $40 as well. So that one's sweet. If you're looking for a playset of lightning bolts, they got you here on June 4th with Mountain Go with 4 full art promo lightning bolts that are super cool, have super sweet artwork.
Not my favorite of the lore drops, but I do like these.
This is my number 2 pick. Again, like for just $30 to get 4 promo lightning bolts.
Right.
Lightning bolt itself is like always a $1 to $2 card forever. So imagine some promo stuff you can get this way.
Much less ones with Noah Bradley art.
I know, right? Ornithological Studies.
That's my favorite.
This one is pretty
I love
cool.
this one.
So random.
It's so random, exactly.
It's birds. It's birds. There's Dovescape. There's Gilded Goose. There's Birds of Paradise. There's Swan Song. And Baleful Strix is in there. That's really sweet.
Just like done in a style of like a bird watcher's guide, which is hilarious. I love it. I don't know why I love it so much, but I just love it.
It is pretty freaking cool. This is only $30. This is actually, I think, another deal on that one. This would be my number 3.
Now, I wanted a food token that was like a cooked turkey for the Gilded Goose.
That'd be pretty cool, actually. That said, they are not done taking them dollars, y'all.
Right.
They
This
want
is the headline.
all the dollars. Is that they have the Summer Superdrop bundle. Okay. So you get all 5 of those drops we just talked about and a non-foil enemy fetch land. You know the kind that's in the Secret Lair fetch lands? Exactly the kind that's in Secret Lair fetch lands? Exactly the kind of thing you're giving stores to try to help them out at this point in time. All right, cool. So they'll give you a random one of those, which is interesting.
That is a free $80.
Yes. So they have, period. There's the whole point of the contents of this being the full sleeves tattoo pack, the Path Not Travel, Candy Fill, Heart of Steel, Mountain Gold, whatever, $170. So you say $170, you get a free fetch land out of it. I'll be honest. There's a lot worse ways you can invest $170.
Yeah.
Like, for real.
And if you're going to get any of them, if you're going to get like 2 or more, you need to get all 5
to
get the fetch land.
Right.
I think it's a pretty easy investment. Scheduling notwithstanding, right? Or getting shipping notwithstanding, because we've had issues with Secret Lair shipping in the past.
Right. We'll talk about some of that later.
Hasbro Toy Shop and some of that kind of stuff in the past. But assuming you are going to receive goods for currency, this is an easy investment.
Absolutely. So this was pretty cool, and we'll see. Like, I like Secret Lairs. You know what I mean? I get what they're doing. They're making really cool, neat promo stuff, and at the same time, man, I get it that they are like Hasbro squeezing. Hasbro has shareholders, and they like to see these big returns because they get big payouts too. So, like,
I think people are concerned for a couple of reasons. I think, one, they're not used to seeing Wizards so brazen, where I think Wizards had always been kind of subtle about it before, where it never felt so in your face as it is now. And I think people are also concerned that they might be prioritizing short-term gains at the expense of longevity, that, you're pumping out all these cards, you're making all this money, but what is this going to do to Magic in 5 years or even 2 years? Is it worth it to do this? And so I think those concerns are valid. And so I think when I do appreciate seeing that discussion take place.
Yeah, I'm still very concerned about the power level of Magic right now. Like, I like playing with cube sets, but after a while, you can't make cube sets without just starting to break everything else,
Yeah,
I love powerful stuff. Not gonna lie.
I try not to put my tinfoil hat on in public, but I'll give you guys a taste because it's 5 years. I truly believe that on some level, Wizards has caused irreparable damage to multiple formats.
I agree.
The power level of the cards that they're printing, there are multiple formats that are just unrecognizable right now, and maybe I'm just longing for like the good old days. I don't know, but I just look at certain formats and I don't recognize them, and I don't want to play them, and I don't know what happened, and it just feels very cavalier, and I think it's very scary.
Right.
I agree with you. I think that they're on some level, even with bannings on the horizon, the trust isn't there. The wound may heal, but a scar will remain.
There you go. So let's move on here to our next topic. There are last chance qualifiers for the Players Tour. This is the one that we're going to talk about more in depth in terms of the prizes changing and whatnot.
For what?
But it's a Players Tour that pays out a bunch of money. I'm not really sure. We're not the spikiest of broadcasts. All I know is every weekday at 1 a.m., 9 a.m., and 6 p.m. in Pacific time, for $10, you can play in this event to get a Players Tour invite or CFB store credit and CFB Pro, months and stuff like that. CFBevents.com/LCQ if you're interested in that stuff. Let's keep on rocking here. Interesting. So Mark Rosewater writes Making Magic. and he has for, Lord, a very long time now. And his article this week was called The Grand Experiment. And basically, Ikoria is an experiment. It is a very, very complex set.
Oh, for sure.
But even if it's a complex set, is that okay? And I'll be honest, it's 100% okay. The sales of Ikoria have been amazing. You can't find collector booster boxes. They gone. You don't get the good Godzilla stuff. You want to find on the singles market because all those boxes are just poof. So I for one, think that Ikoria has done an incredible job at being super fun, complex, but super fun.
Yeah.
To pay to sort of make it worth it. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, it's more complex, but there's better payoff. There's huge cool effects that we get to play around with now, and I'm okay with that.
I mean, I love Ikoria, the whole picture of Ikoria. I don't know what we're doing with the one keyword that we'll probably be talking about in a second. But in general, it's super fun. It's super powerful. There aren't any bad cards.
Right. Every card's good now. There's no garbage.
Limited's fun.
Boy, do I know that. I remember when my boyfriend and we did a pre-release for 2 the weekend that the cards came out, and I was just blown away by how powerful these cards were. Archipelago is ridiculous.
It's the truth. Like, it's unbelievable.
Table flipping good. And if you have multiples, God help you. Like, why is this uncommon?
I mean, you look at, Drannith Stinger is taking over Pauper, which is a format that's been around forever.
Yeah.
And every format that's been around forever, Vintage, Legacy, Commander, all of these formats are being upended by dozens of cards every set now. So I get that it was a big experiment. Ikoria, as a picture of itself, is great. As you widen the lens, I agree with going back to Aaron's previous discussion, which is we're sort of losing what we used to have. The ship is further and further from the harbor.
Right.
And so what do you want Magic to be versus what do you want to be playing? Do you want to be playing Magic? Like, there was a reason why Old School was created, right? It's because people wanted a snapshot of an era.
Yeah, what was the original sort of era of Magic like? And it was
and then they printed Middle School, which is another, or came up with Middle School. And Modern is kind of like that too. How many more of those are we going to see? Because we're getting further and further and further away from God's light.
Well, as the game gets older, I think you see it really warp and change. And particularly as Wizards is like, pedal to the metal. Like, let's keep it going.
It's pedal to the metal, and it's also a lack of choice. And I know that this is something that Commander players have been very vocal about, is that one of the joys of Magic was discovering cards to put in your deck. A lot of the recent sets that have come out, the cards are so good you can't not play them, And so, when you look at a Commander Precon, there are cards that are so powerful you'd be stupid not to run them. They're almost auto includes, and so I feel like you don't have that joy anymore. You don't have that joy of finding the diamond in the rough. They're all just diamonds, and so there's no real there are less decisions to be made because you already know what needs to go in your deck because they're just so good. And I miss that. I miss that aha feeling, or I miss that feeling of going to a pro tour and seeing a feature match or seeing a deck tack where someone's revealing this bonkers card that like you'd never heard of before, but someone was able to turn that into a deck. I feel like that happens less because you already know what cards you need to be playing with because they're miles away from what the rest of the cards do, if that makes sense.
It's craziness. That said, let's move on here to some Magic Online announcements. Have fun with your Commander 2020 cards because they are coming to Magic Online in treasure chests, which is really sweet. Yeah. Along with some other stuff like War of the Spark drafts and stuff, which also show back up on Arena. Which is
Magic Online, something happened with this latest update. There's been some bugs going around. Yawgmoth's Will is bugged to where you can now cast cards from your opponent's graveyard.
Ooh.
Yay. There was something else. Yeah,
we'll get to a different one that caused
You can also
see
promo versions of cards now.
Oh, okay.
When you click cards I haven't collected, you can see promo versions to see what's possible out there now on Magic Online, which you didn't used to be able to do. So I think that's a cool update.
Yeah. Okay. taking a note here from Dragon Shield, the sleeve maker here. They say support your local game store with Dragon Shield. When you shop on dragonshield.com/shop, we donate 25% of the product price to a LGS of your choice. Good. So if you're buying directly from that company, you can help out your LGS, which is awesome.
I like it.
Good on them.
Also, in related to local game store news, hashtag FLGS, support your friendly local game store. My close personal friend, Jason Charles Miller, has a show on the Dungeons & Dragons channel called On Tour with Dragons, where during his music tour last year, he visited a bunch of local game stores. And it's on YouTube now. I think the 3rd episode just came out. So check it out and see if there's any local game stores near you that they visited.
Very nice. So quick shout out to longtime supporter of the show. We have MTG Papa Mage talking about Rhino, unfortunately being in the hospital.
A resubscriber this evening. We'll thank him later.
Oh,
very nice. Well,
Rhino is, got some health issues.
Yeah, so Rhino has dealt with epilepsy for a while, and his father has posted about his seizures before. This is a different situation in that in part of this testing, they're trying to coax the seizures out of him. So they have him in the hospital. They want to be there when the seizures happen so that they can rescue him from each one. And so this is a lot to go through. We've literally watched Rhino grow up before our eyes, and seizures are very scary. And so I'm hoping that he pulls through this, because I'm just looking at him with all the little electrodes on his head, and I'm like, oh, you poor thing.
And as a member of the Magic the Gathering content creation community, big news.
Absolutely. Speaking of news in the community, unfortunately, we have some bad news for Chris Van Meter. After spending the last 3+ years of his professional and personal life growing along with Card Kingdom's brand, unfortunately, the impacts of everything being awful has laid him off. So that sucks.
I heard from several people that Card Kingdom went through a pretty extensive round of layoffs this time around, which is shocking. Card Kingdom has always been thought of as one of the heavy hitters when it comes to buying supplies and buying cards, and so if it can happen to them, it can really happen to anybody. And CVM's about to be a dad soon. This is just really unfortunate timing, and he's incredibly talented both as a player and as a designer. He designed several custom products for them. So if you are watching and you do have any leads on possible jobs for him in gaming, feel free to hit him up, Chris_Van Meter. We just wish him the best.
All right. So move on here to Desperate Ravings. Let me know if you guys have any feelings about what we're skipping over here.
No.
That said,
we got a lot this week. We're actually skipping stuff.
I know, right?
And no, I don't have any thoughts about it.
It's fine. Either way, so Wizards dropped the bomb, okay? They dropped the bomb.
All right.
On May 26th. This was yesterday. Yesterday at 7:59 p.m. Eastern Standard, they said, hey, on Monday, 6/1, there will be an update to the banned and restricted list impacting the standard and historic formats that will also address the companion mechanic. Oh my god.
Meow, meow, meow. We did it.
The rumor wire on this is absolutely crazy.
Oh, yeah.
Compared to what they might do. We have no idea what they're going to do. They may ban stuff, they may unban stuff, they may change stuff.
Yeah.
Let's just talk about what the rumors say.
The rumor is that nothing's going to happen and this is a big troll. No, that's not.
Right, exactly. The rumor is that the companions, you're going to have to pay 3 generic mana at sorcery speed to put them in your hand, and then you can cast them from your hand.
Like cycling almost.
Kind of like cycling.
Sort
like
of.
a weird cycling to your hand.
Weird
thing.
triome cycling.
I've heard many things as well from your cycling theory. I've heard even more egregious theories that they may just ban them altogether.
Yeah.
It's clearly a problematic mechanic, and I am glad that they are taking a stance on this, because I've said before that if you are going to print aggressively, you also need to be willing to respond aggressively. And so, it wasn't too long ago that people were saying that Standard was becoming really busted with Luca and everything. Obviously the companions are having a detrimental effect on formats, and so if they're willing to hit the button on this quickly, I'm a fan.
I think it's 2 things. One is that I think Mark Rosewater loves Companion. I think he loves it super much. He clearly admitted he was the one who pushed it through. He wanted to make this stuff happen. And I think it's a really cool mechanic. It's busted the way it's made right this second.
The problem is that you put it on good rares. What you needed to do was put it on mediocre uncommons.
Right, and make it interesting. Like, make us sort of jump through a weird hoop and give us a weird payoff.
Yeah.
But
you needed to put it on Mowu, Loyal Companion.
Yes,
which is a medium average 3/3 for 4, and not on a 4/5 flyer that blinks everything on your board.
Oh my god! Like, it could have just blinked creatures. You know, it didn't have to blink everything. So,
or it could have been a vanilla 4/5 flyer, and I still would have played it.
Yes. I think it's just the consistency of it that, you know, you're. Part of Magic is the variance, and variance does not apply to something that you know will always be in your hand, in your deck, when you want it every single time. That's backbreaking.
Yeah, absolutely.
I will say that I am playing Atris with a Gyruda companion in Brawl, and I am playing mono odd, mono black zombies.
I personally I like Companion a lot. I don't like that it's busted. Get the busted crap out. But I like Companion as an idea of you can create a restriction and you have to build that restriction. That's cool.
You shouldn't print Furnace of Wrath with Companion. You should print Grey Ogre with Companion.
Something weird with Companion.
Well, that's probably fine because it's a 0/0 for 5, right?
Right. It's just it's a little silly, but and the other thing is that Wizards has if anything gone completely away from the idea that they have a errata that is so drastic that they will have to print another version of these cards that will look nothing like the previous versions if the mechanic changes so drastically. This is a sort of great whale situation where they did errata if you play the untapped 7 lands if you played it from your hand. Yes, they changed that, and then they went back and they're like, we should not have done that. Cards are what they are. If they're busted, we'll ban them. The end, and let's go. Yeah. And that's how it's been until literally now.
Now, in a perfect world, I want them to ban things when they're too powerful. I don't think that salvaging the companion mechanic is really worth it. I personally, not just for the sake of winning this fake pie bet that none of you took, that they just get rid of the cards or get rid of the cards that have the ability. But we live in the real world where people pay real dollars for these pieces of cardboard that they actually own, and they don't want those values to go in the tank for everyone who's ever bought Magic cards. Thus killing more of the secondary market and some of the confidence that we already have in how much Wizards of the Coast has been pressing the envelope. So,
they've been playing fast, they've been breaking things.
I would rather they do that.
Yes,
so because I would rather they take these risks, do these grand experiments, I'm all for an errata. And the cool thing is, if they don't like the errata the first time, guess what? You can errata them again later. Right? The 3 colorless, put it in your hand, didn't work? All right, make it 4 colorless.
This is also very Fantasy Flight. Fantasy Flight makes lots of card games. They made a Star Wars card game, Star Wars Destiny, for a long time. And when they errata, they just do whatever. This card is now 3 instead of 4. It's now 7 instead of 6. They don't care.
I'll take this pot of gold and place it face down at the end of my turn and draw 2 cards, and then I'll play another pot of gold. And all right.
There you go. So whatever. So we'll see what happens. Again, this is the banned and restricted update. It is kind of weird to me they never mentioned Modern. Like, it's a little odd, but okay.
Well, Modern...
I read the sentence differently. I read this to mean that there's going to be an announcement affecting Standard and Historic or whatever, and then overall Companion changes. And I took that to mean that could affect
There
Modern.
Was a bit of a dangling modifier in the announcement, but that's a subject of Twitter. Also, Modern is the most healthy of the formats.
Absolutely not.
When it comes to the Companion mechanic.
Absolutely not.
Yeah, so
Modern is Basura right now.
It is. Everyone's kind of a little bit of a hot mess, quite frankly. Yeah, speaking of hot messes, organized play. Organized play is going through some changes, y'all. The long and short of it, best I can figure. Please correct me if I'm wrong. Is that a bunch of events got canceled. The rest of the season for the pros got canceled, and whatever and the paper events that some were qualified for are now qualifying for a Magic Arena event instead. And there's a lot of consternation about they don't get that sort of magical moment of meeting their heroes and having those big matches against people they know and seeing so-and-so play and yada yada. And that's certainly an issue. I want to start here with Willy Edel. Because
there were a couple...
Go
were
ahead.
two other points there.
Please do.
It was my understanding also that there's been a decrease in prize money, that, those events that were canceled, where did the money go? Because you didn't funnel them into the events you do have, the money's just disappeared. And you also can't defer invites, if I'm thinking of the same event, where, if you qualified for that one thing, you used to be able to defer your Pro Tour invites or your event invites. This one event that's happening right now, if you can't make it, oh well.
Right. And I want to start with what I thought was a really interesting take, which is from Willy Edel, up on the screen now. He says, years ago, Helene Bourgeot, during a live stream, announced the end of the, I think it was the Players' Championship, as he says here, the PC. She replied to several attacks/criticism on social media and email. Today, we had an announcement signed by nobody at their website. Not a single WotC boss showed up. I miss a leader in OP. There's only bosses. But then, Brad Nelson kind of jumps in. And he's like... You remember how they kind of treat Helene like garbage? You remember that? Remember that?
So Helene did that as a courtesy. That was not in her job description at all. Just as it's not as MaRo's job description to throw himself on Twitter. This is something they're doing, or they did to be closer to the community and things like that. And so, I do think that there should be a better community response from Wizards. Do I think it should necessarily come from the people at the top? No. I think they should have a dedicated community team for that. And I think even Blake, Blake finally stepped in, Blake Rasmussen. He said that, Helene was getting death threats. And so, while we appreciated her and we miss her, there was a downside to that in that, her safety and probably her sanity was also at risk here.
You're starting to reach this sort of point where, like, are you hiring somebody to, like, go in front of a firing squad? Like, is that what you're trying to do? Because, like, that's rough on your mental state. That's rough on your health. That's rough on you wanting to go out and try to explain something because there's just going to be so much fire and flack and craziness. Blake Rasmussen, noted, like, his interactions as the face of some other announcements, proper interactions about 10% and getting yelled at by accounts with one follower is the other 90%. And then talks about Helene. So, yeah, it's
is
weird.
It a coincidence that Athena was posting tweets about being in a hammock and drinking wine? Like, she's behind some of these accounts, I believe. And so, if that's what she has to see all day, I'd be drinking in a hammock too. Like,
And then look, and I understand, Morten Iversen wrote a really interesting open letter, the links are in the show notes, where he was talking about, it's very special for him to play in that paper PT, but, like, look, man, the world is literally upside down right now. Like, nothing is happening, everything's a question mark, everyone's, like, afraid, things are opening, kind of sort of opening, but not really, but face mask, but sometimes not if it's a Tuesday. Like, I don't know, man, we don't know what's going on with Paper Magic at all, at any level, whether it's playing at your store all the way up to GPs, which we'll talk about here in just a minute. But first, we have to mention the the MTGHOFbot guy.
Austin Bursavich.
Austin Bursavich. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Here's what happened.
Was a hell of a thing that happened, huh?
On this very show, a couple weeks ago, we had mentioned the rumors of all of these OP changes happening. That, so if the money was being taken away, the invites were being taken away, and blah, blah, blah. And we didn't have enough information to really say anything other than, this is a weird rumor. It seems odd and it seems bad, but we'll see what happens. And then it came out to all be true. And then WotC comes knocking and says, hey, bruh, would you like to tell us who told you all of those things? And he's like, I'm good.
No, I really wouldn't.
He doubled down. This wasn't just a polite refusal. This was throwing middle fingers and...
Yeah.
Wow, okay.
Yeah. This was... Come at me. Yeah.
Jeez. Well, I was under the impression that he just didn't, give them what they wanted.
Wait, we should have named the episode Snitches Get Bursaviches.
Oh, my God.
That's what we should have done. Wow. We never did that.
Bursaviches get stitches. It's too many
Bursaviches get...
It's true. It's a lot.
That's true.
Right. Okay. So either way. So, all right. So, so poke the bear. Okay. And then the bear comes poking back. Magic the Gathering is not a right. Magic the Gathering is not something you are inherently born with to be able to play. No. It is their sandbox, and they can revoke your right to play in that sandbox at any time. And you certainly shouldn't have been poking the bear if that's what's going on in the first place. And secondly, ultimately, whether or not you felt like, everybody knew, it comes from somewhere. It starts somewhere. They're trying to trace where that line goes. So in essence, I understand that Wizards couldn't sort of just do nothing, right? Wizards needed to have some response to someone taking their closed NDA level information and propagating it around the world. I get that. I understand that. And I also understand how he was like, look, I think there's a competitive advantage there, even though at this point all the pros are coming out going like, there's not really much of an advantage, quite frankly. But so you can be on that high, you can be on that pedestal if you want, but either way, you got to pay the piper. Wizards is not going to be okay with just, you flip them the bird or whatever when they ask you what happened and where'd you get this information and trying to be silly or slick. Rather, they're going to say, look, you just banned. And they didn't even ban Bertarioni's Moto accounts.
Right.
And they're taking away this person's Moto account. That's weird.
Right. So regardless, to me, this was an open and shut case of, this is somebody that had proprietary information. They knew it was proprietary, and then they signal blasted it to Twitter, regardless of the reasons for that. But I do agree that there are a couple concerns here. One being the length of the punishment, where I don't think they should necessarily be banned for life or anything so egregious. I think that we could reduce the time frame quite a bit, or possibly remove it altogether. I don't think it should be set in stone that he's banned. And also, you brought up a really good point. When you look at how long it has taken them to respond to people like Owen or like Bertarioni, the fact that that has taken a really long time to see action on, but yet this one was dealt with very quickly. There's a bit of a disconnect there, where it's like, well, you've obviously shown that you have the ability to respond to things that you find offensive. Where were you when these other things happened? And so there are some valid questions here. I don't think whether or not this should have happened is one of them, but I do think there are concerns about the duration and why this one was treated so swiftly.
I think forever's a long time. Okay,
forever's a long time.
Forever's a long, long time. And and someone's why are we defending WotC? I'm not defending WotC. I'm showing you what WotC's sort of point of view is.
We're not defending WotC. These are facts, baby. This is real life. This is
just
contracts.
What happened.
This is NDAs. You cannot apply magic concepts to real life. You cannot argue your way out of this. You cannot rules lawyer your way out of this. This is real.
I was also waiting for them to stop talking so that I could ask Evan for the new red zone layout, because my co-hosts, as usual, are wrong and I hate them. This is stupid and you're stupid and what are you guys talking about?
What do you mean, what are we talking about?
He didn't break a stated rule. There's no stated rule anywhere of anything that he broke.
The terms.
Where?
Okay, let's get this all out here. Let's give him the tea. Okay, here's the way that I justify this. Okay, we have a lot of birdies chirping in our ears because of who we are in this community. We get tips, we get rumors, we get all sorts of information all the time. And what we usually do is we put it in our pocket and we're like, oh, that's a little tasty morsel. I'm just going to go ahead and leave that. We do not go on Twitter and we do not signal blast it to the masses, because we know that we are holding on to information that we should technically not have. He was given information that he knew was proprietary, and rather than keep it in his pocket and save it for a rainy day, he went to Twitter and stood on a car and told everybody, where's the disconnect there? And then he tried to wrap it in this noble construct of, I don't have to share my stories. Bitch, you ain't a journalist. What? I don't understand the issue here.
Right, and I understand that he didn't sign an NDA, but again, the information was given to those under an NDA. That's how this all starts.
You knew that you had proprietary information, and you chose to blast it.
Right. So again, I think part of this is retaliation from Wizards. That's why I think the forever thing is too long. That's too much. You're going draconian. Stop that. Yeah. Say, look, you shared information that you shouldn't have. You won't tell us anything else about it. Then bam, you get a year and you're gone. We'll see you in a year, and we'll give you back access then if you've been a good boy or whatever. I don't know. I'm just saying something that says you did something bad, you have to pay for it. There's a piper that needs to be paid. Wizards as a company can't just say our NDAs are worthless and don't mean anything. They have to show a response. Mm-hmm. This is the response.
Sure.
And it might just be too much, but it's still a response.
I do agree that everyone, no one played this perfectly. There should be, obviously, Austin is just a poop stirrer who had, and I didn't want to say the poop word,
right.
A poop stirrer,
right?
Because it's a family
poop
show,
stirrer,
and I got my one for the year last week.
It's true.
And had an axe to grind based on who he is and his clout and position within the game.
Right.
WotC did not respond well, right? They fired off their email asking for the investigation, didn't receive the answer that they wanted, regardless of whether that email that Austin posted to his Twitter was actually sent or wasn't. That's not the point. Didn't receive an answer that they wanted, and in response, shut everything off related to the game to that person. That seems, again, does seem a bit draconian. I hope that they're going to walk that back once they figure out how long indefinitely is going to be.
Right.
But nobody's coming out of this looking like, smelling like roses.
Right. There's problems on both sides here, y'all. This is a muddy gray issue.
Right. And it reminds me a bit of, boy, I'm going to show my age here, the Rancor Elf Leaks.
Yes.
What is that?
From 15 years ago at this point.
Yes. Wow. That's incredible.
For those of you who are terribly old men like I am, may remember one of the earliest leak issues was a guy named a person named Rancor Elf, who was a poster on
MTG Salvation.
Yes, Salvation.
It was on Salvation.
And was like, I've got little birdies within Wizards, and these are predictions. And then eventually Wizards was like, hey, I think that these are real, and then got to that person, and then cut them out entirely.
I actually had a weird connection to that one. Because at the time, one of the people that Wizards was working with to help them with rules things was working at a store in Knoxville that I attended. And so someone had Wizards had sent him all 3 Ravnica sets. This is, of course, before
first
anyone. Yeah, first Ravnica. It's 2005. No one, of course, hadn't heard of any of this stuff. And someone had taken the USB key that he had of the files that had all the cards in it, copied and pasted it, and before he got back, ran away, and suddenly they had everything of all those 3 sets. So I knew stuff in Dissension, but while Ravnica was being spoiled, like it was ridiculous.
Now the reason why it reminds me of this so much is because Rancor Elf obviously also didn't have an NDA with Wizards of the Coast, right?
Right. You just hear
and
people would just send stuff, right?
But there were NDAs in place, and people used it's weird because Rancor Elf wanted this position of being the gatekeeper of information, similar to how Hall of Fame bot wanted this information as well and be the disseminator and have the soapbox.
To be like the person who got to announce this, and that makes them important and attention and all that good
someone
stuff.
Fed this information to Rancor Elf, wanted this information out there, right, from inside. So like. That is why it reminds me of this. Again, no one is coming off scot-free here. No one comes out of this looking good. But what do we do from this point? I think that there are a couple of things that need to happen. One is there does need to be a statement, an official statement from WotC at some point about what happened and what is currently happening. Because we've heard nothing, as far as I'm aware, about the situation in any capacity from Wizards of the Coast, other than the email that was sent directly to Austin. The second thing that probably needs to happen is that Austin is going to have to kowtow, right? He's going to have to be like, hey, look, sorry this happened. I shouldn't have been such a poop stirrer, right?
Right. I shouldn't have done what I did. Yeah, like, and beyond if you can think you're still right about it, which is fine, but you got to note that, like, something has to happen from both sides, and not just Wizards relenting. It also has to be, I screwed up and I'm sorry. Like you did, and this whole the justification for it doesn't work. You're not a journalistic outlet that's going to be posting news about Magic or whatever. So I don't get it.
And the last thing I will say is you're absolutely right. This is very much like being drunk in a casino. The casino can throw you out for any reason they deem necessary. It's Wizards of the Coast Playhouse. It's their ball. They can take it and go home. You have no right to your MTG Arena account. They're digital objects. Just like the apps on your phone, they can, delete you for whatever reason. So from that standpoint, I completely understand where Wizards is coming from. I wish that this had happened differently. I wish these events hadn't come to pass, and that somewhere along the line, reasonable, more cooler heads would have prevailed, but it didn't happen. What I would like to say, because I'm getting this question in chat, what do I want the statement to achieve? I want Wizards of the Coast to say, we think that this is how this information was disseminated, or the avenue with which this information came out. It was revealed in a manner in which we were preparing for how to reveal this information, just like every proprietary thing. Card previews, new rollouts of products, whatever, what have you. I want the statement to be just like the statement they made after the God Book, right? Mm-hmm. That is just like, look, here's where it broke down. We're going to try and fix it. That's all I want. And also, we're going to try to make it better.
Just some transparency. This is a word that Wizards has flirted with many times over the years.
That's good stuff, Ruben.
Absolutely. And do note, there is a code of conduct that they are expecting players and the community to have. It is linked in the chat right there.
Is that on Arena?
No, it's on company.wizards.com/legal/code
you're
conduct.
Gonna make me read this? God.
No, I'm not going to make you read anything. I'm just going to explain to people where's the rule? It's we have established norms and expectations, sure. and that is what it is.
I mean, that is what Winston says in John Wick. The only thing that separates us from the animals are the rules. So
there you go. All right, to something a little less serious, more. No, it's just serious. It's sad. Yeah. It's just sad. Planeswalkerpoints.com is no more. Oof, Wizards has removed the ability to access 25-ish plus years of data on God knows how many players total. And it's the end of quite an era. I remember when Wizards flew me out to Renton and was like, this is Planeswalker Points. Here's what we're going to do. LSV was there and some other guys. And they were like, here's how it works. What do you think about it? Do you think this could be cool? Do you think this can work? And integrating all of your past history into it, I think, was really brilliant. And then saying all those matches still mattered, right? Because all those matches counted towards your level and all this other stuff. So again, the history that you had with Magic, you could see, you could look at, you could check it out, you could remember and recall. And so I sure hope that over the past month, as many people have tweeted, here's how you download all of your information, and I have downloaded all of mine, because right now, for all intents and purposes, it's gone.
Yeah.
That's just sad. It's not today, Wizards. Not today you're going to regret this decision. But one day you will regret this.
And for the rest of your life.
I'm watching you. I'm for real, man. This is weird. Why would you just get rid of 25 years of data? It's insane to me. It's still insane to me.
Yeah. My first ever F&M was at Darts USA in Whitehall, Ohio. Years and years of F&Ms at the Soldiery and Egghead Games, Comic Town, Morse Road, and Westerville, among others. And, of course, Wizards Guild / Universe of Superheroes in Athens, Ohio. All of those results going away. Not to mention the big pre-releases, big Grand Prix. We've already said goodbye to Planeswalker Points and Pro Points at this point.
Right.
Now we're getting rid of the Duelist Convocation International, which, to be fair, is a bit of an outdated system, but served a purpose that nothing else serves.
Right.
In holding the game's history,
right.
Which feels like a shame to just be no, we're going to turn that off now.
And, something, legal liabilities, something, there's a lawsuit still going on, yada, yada.
From what I understand, the scuttlebutt conspiracy theory I had heard is that this has to do with some law in Europe of expectation of privacy. Because a lot of those results from European events had been removed already. Who knows if that's true? I don't know.
I'm not sure. That said, speaking of tea, the hottest of tea. Oh my lord, take this with a huge grain of salt. We have no idea if this is happening, but I felt like we got to talk about it. Rumor or no, even if it's just a rumor, it's still interesting to talk about. The rumor on the wire is that allegedly CFB events will be dissolved this year, will not be fulfilling their contracts to the venues, and so on. Essentially,
what is happening?
The end of Grand Prix as we know them, the end of Command Fests as we know them.
Now, to clarify, CFB events,
not Channel Fire Wacom. CFB events. They were very clear from the very start. They said, look, this is Company A, this is Company B, and they're ran differently and all this other stuff. So to have a company who is events is in the name, and you can't have events That's kind of a problem. And you have to put tens of thousands of dollars down as down payment to get these venues in the first place.
Something's happening with Aaron's face. I want to know what's happening with Aaron's face right now.
What's going on?
What's happening, Aaron?
I'm just not going near this. Like,
there's something happening right behind your face.
Do I want this to be total rumor and silly, and we go back and we hey the GPs start back up on so and so? Absolutely. But at the same time, if this does happen, my lord, it is a metric shockwave through what you would describe as competitive paper Magic.
Yeah.
This is a huge marketing expense.
It's insane, and I don't know where Wizards of the Coast goes from here after everything opens back up. What happens? What happens to Magic Fests and the Players Tour and events like that? Aaron, please, you got to give me something. You got to give me something with the face, Aaron. Give me.
I'm with Evan in that I'm taking this with a colossal grain of salt. So much salt that I just don't even.
Fair. Now, again, this is rumor and hearsay.
The tea is too salty. All right, I get it.
It's just too fantastical for me. It's just like.
Sure.
I mean, but does it make sense? It made sense to me. Like, this events company can't run events.
I mean, people are saying that there are going to be no events for the rest of the year anyways, so it makes sense. But I mean, people are dancing around this as if it's like the end of GPs permanently, or like there's some sort of permanent.
It's not. But what I would note is that the Grand Prix, as we have known them, is a train that has ran on time year after year, weekend after weekend, all over the world. Whether there were different TOs doing it, whether there was one company doing it that made a different company to even just run those for all the logistics that are involved. They've been there. It's been a huge marketing cost for Wizards every single year. And someone said something like, Wizards is glad for the big turnout because they're going to make some money. Wizards makes $0 off these events. It's ridiculous. These are marketing events, and the TO is the one who makes the money if there's a big turnout, and that's great for them because they have to put in all the work. Yeah. The point is that the end of that train, starting that train over again, is going to be difficult because then you have to go find the venue, you have to put the down payment for the venue, and then you have to get to that eventual date, which is not going to be soon. All these places, once things are opening up, they're going to get booked.
But we existed in a world where CFB events didn't exist. We existed in a world where other TOs, tournament organizers, had run Grand Prix before. I think that the dissolution, the proposed theoretical dissolution...
Rumored, 1,000% rumored...
The perchance dissolution of Channel Fireball events is not going to lead to the end of live Magic events. There are just too many people that want to play live Magic. That's not going to happen. That's like Mark Rosewater's been killing Magic for 20 years. But like, you have like I think just getting GPs back and running is going to take a lot. And I hope that the CFB events people are making the changes necessary to make this happen. Who knows? We'll see. Again, rumor. Move on. Distant Memories is bugged on Moto, and if you abuse it, didn't
they fix it?
Did they fix it?
Who knows? There was a bug.
There was definitely a bug about the Distant Memories exploit, and Magic Online tweeted, "We do not comment on specific actions, but we can confirm that exploits such as this one are against the end user license agreement."
This is another case of why would you share this? Like, if I'm understanding this correctly, the people that were exploiting it were very proud of this. Like, what?
They were getting like trophy after trophy after trophy because they would play this spell. They
tweeted deck lists about just playing these and like ways to search them up and Veil of Summer. So the exploit. Distant Memories is 2 colorless blue. Your opponent chooses one, draw 3 cards, or search your library for a card. I think is how it worked. Basically, the letting your opponents choose screen would get stuck on your opponent's timer until their timer ran out.
And then
and then you'd win because they time out.
Right.
Basically, the people that found it, first of all, I don't know how people find these. Like, are you just entering random events with Distant Memories and being like, oh, this one's bugged now? Great, let's enter events with this? Like, I don't
likely found like via a casual game, and then someone mentioned it, and someone else mentioned it.
And there's been a lot of cubes happening too, so maybe it was in a cube.
Okay,
maybe.
Sure.
So that's a thing.
But yeah, there was one in particular tweet that I recall seeing that was like, if you're entering queues right now, this is the deck I recommend, and it was for Distant Memories, for Veil of Summer, for like Merchant Scroll, that kind of stuff.
Ways to go
Hammer,
get it.
Nail.
Right. So when you're that overt, your Wizards is paying attention. Okay?
So for the time being, they just banned the card, which is fine.
There you go. All right. So at this point, I'm happy to move on here to the finisher. If you guys are.
What else we got? Hold on.
BlizzCon's canceled.
Oh, BlizzCon.
BlizzCon's canceled.
Oh my God.
To the surprise
More
of no
canceled
one.
stuff is
I've heard that they're having a streaming event around June 6th to reveal some more about Shadowlands, which is what I assume they were going to be doing at BlizzCon. But again, just another blow to geek culture. This is another event that used to kind of run like clockwork. This was a lot of people's social interaction for the year. Friends you could only see at BlizzCon. This was opportunities for cosplayers and guilds to meet up and things like that, and now it's not going to happen. And so, people keep looking for these beacons that they can look to and say, well, if Gen Con's still going on, maybe things are going to be okay. And now Gen Con is gone. And I think people were going, okay, Gen Con's not happening. Right. BlizzCon's totally happening. And now BlizzCon's gone. And so, these things that people were looking forward to and these things that people were counting on as indicators that this is over with are now gone. And it's devastating.
So for my quick update, California, I think, says that they're going to start moving towards phase 2 of 5.
Oh, wow.
And sporting events fall under phase 3. Okay. Now, that might be relevant for Magic, because I don't know where Magic events fall. They are trying to be esports. Who knows what they actually are? I
heard from some Vintage players in the Vintage Discord that there's a popular event in Italy called Nebraska's War. Okay. And if I understood that particular player correctly, they are on pace to host that. Or I think they said that Switzerland was opening up events, but it does sound like events are on their way to being opened back up in Europe at least.
Isn't Switzerland the one country who didn't put in all the restrictions and they have a bunch of cases? Sweden, thank you.
Sweden was the experiment in herd immunity that didn't work.
Did not work. Okay. Yeah. All right. So we turn the corner now to the finisher. 5 years. We've outlived Planeswalker points. CFB events, maybe, rumored. Hi, big rumor. Okay, rumor. The companion mechanic, maybe. We're not sure. Maybe if they change it, who knows. The Magic Judge program, the Magic Judge Academy, maybe. The Duelist Convocation International, and going outside. And that's just this week. We also somehow outlived Pro Tours, the Obama Presidency, Grand Prix, Dual Deck, Skype, the Frontier format, Vine, Dabs, remember those? Helen Brichot's tenure at WotC, Google Plus, Pro Points, Ruben's time in Las Vegas twice, Tumblr minus Blogatog, and let us not forget Rampaging Ferocidon.
Justice for Ferocidon.
Justice for Ferocidon. Well, we've been around quite a bit, so as we come to the end of this 5-year anniversary episode, tell me, what will we outlive next as we head into the back half of our first decade? Ruben?
Magic Mike's 10-year anniversary will happen in May of 2025, just after the start of High Inquisitor Trump's third term in office. We're launching Elon Musk mobiles into space. Bezos Zeppelins are taking to the skies, and all of it is a wider part of the Disney cinematic universe. The only things to survive the coming econopocalypse are cockroaches, Magic Mike's, and inexplicably the Hasbro online shopping portal. So I'm most looking forward to outlasting those printing presses responsible for bent as hell foils from the promo packs, because if anything deserves to go away, it's those.
That's right. Aaron?
Well, 5 years is a long time. Very few podcasts survive 5 episodes, let alone 5 years. And if there's anything, I'm sorry, I screwed that. And there's another thing I'm not used to lasting a long time. So I'm looking forward to, in 5 years, finally getting the 2019 Magic Online Championship schedule.
Is that ever happening?
Where's that Mox at? Where'd that Mox go?
Too much going on.
Just send some checks and say you're sorry, right? Just chop it up and move on, right?
Jesus.
Oh my God. Today we celebrate our 5th birthday. Alas, 5 years is far too short a time to live among such excellent and admirable magicians. I don't know half of you half as well as I should like, and I like less than half of you half as well as you deserve. And as I look forward to our 10th anniversary, there's one thing I can guarantee: Magic Mike's will outlive, please, the GD reserve list, because gods only know when it's never going away. Did you mean to say we were not going
I
to
don't
outlive
know.
it?
I wrote that joke and it didn't come out.
Where did that joke go? I'm not
Whatever.
sure.
It's a joke about how the
Leave
reserve
us a
list
Ruben to,
exists.
leave us.
The reserve list will be your friend. We're not going to outlive it. I hate it.
Professional
I hate it.
podcast is what this is.
So, Sam, we are talking about, we do have some pie bets that we have yet to resolve. So we have discussed possibly just pieing ourselves on air. So keep watching for that.
Yep. The social distance pie bet is the best pie bet. But that ends
I'll be
another
there
live.
someday. I can social distance.
Wow.
Okay. Come on, locals.
And that ends another live episode of Magic Mike's. Thanks for joining us here to discuss all things Magic. Thank you, Aaron.
Thank you so damn much, everybody. We appreciate you.
Thank you, Ruben.
5-5.
Move here
See
to
what
our brand new. Check out that purple on that final slide.
Ooh, the purple. Look at that.
That's right. I want to
Get
thank our
that
sponsor.
purple slide, purple slide, purple slide.
Wow. I want to thank our sponsor, CoolStuffInc.com, our co-sponsor, CardHoarder.com, my co-hosts, Aaron Campbell and Ruben Bressler. You guys for watching or listening, and we hope you support us at Patreon.com/MagicMikes. Please follow, like, tweet, favorite, share, subscribe to everything social that tells people we exist. Catch us online on our Discord, Twitch.tv at Magic Mikes, on Twitter at Magic Mikes Cast, our Magic Mikes subreddit, and like the Magic Mikes page on Facebook. Talk to us privately at MagicMikesPodcast@gmail.com. Follow the audio-only podcast at MagicMikesPodcast.libsyn.com, or find us on iTunes, or join us here next week. Same time, same place, for another episode of Magic Mikes. Good night, everybody.
This font is something else, though. I gotta tell you.
It's
I'm
funky.
reading this font, and I'm like, are my eyes weird?
Eyes are weird.